Hi everybody, this is Miss Baker and I'm going to be writing your notes on flowering plants. And our essential question is, what is the advantage of flowers having bright patterns of coloration surrounding reproductive structures? What is the advantage of flowers having bright patterns of coloration surrounding reproductive structures? Sorry, I wrote a little bit big there. Okay, so flowers come in all shapes and sizes, and of course colors, but despite all the variety, flowers only have one function. Flowers have one function, and that is reproduction. Sorry about that. Reproduction. Okay, so the flower itself is the reproductive structure in plants called angiosperms. And they are divided into the following pieces. The sepals are the leaf-like structures that cover and protect the flower bud. Before it opens. So I have a daffodil, or a bunch of daffodils here, and you see these little leaves here on the outside. These are the sepals, and they're protecting the bud, and once they open up, the petals push through. Next are, so those are the sepals, next are the petals, and you are familiar with the petals because those are the most colorful part of the flower. And it helps attract and guide pollinators like bees to the center. To the center of the flower. Next are the stamen. The stamen is the male reproductive part of the flower. So the flower has both parts. The stamen is the male part. Which is made of a thin stalk called a filament, on which the anther sits. So I have one here that I took from a flower. This long stalk, the long part is the filament, and the little head at the top where the pollen is the anther. So we'll write on here, that's where the pollen is produced, or where pollen is made. Okay, then there's the female part, which is called the pistil. The pistil is the female reproductive organ. The top of the pistil is sticky to receive the pollen and called the stigma. Which is connected to the ovary of the plant, of the flower, which is where, let's see, the ovary is where ovules or egg cells grow into seeds after fertilization. And the seed, as you remember from another video, is the actual embryo. Into seeds if fertilized. Okay, and then finally, let's divide the angiosperms. Oh, actually, first I'll show you. I don't have a good example, but I can show you on this flower model. Don't worry, you guys aren't in the background. This topwood part here would be the stigma. The style is the stem that brings it down, and the ovary is at the bottom of the flower. And you'll be looking at some flowers in your class. Just gonna put this guy back. Okay, so real quickly, the two main divisions of angiosperms. Angiosperm groups or divisions are monocots and dicots. And let's talk about their seeds, their leaves, and their flowers. Also their stems and roots. So in a monocot, there is a single cotyledon those little leaves that come out at the beginning. And in dicots, there's two cotyledon. So those are the first leaves that come out of the seed. In a monocot, the leaves have parallel veins, so I'm actually going to draw an example of it, and you will see some in class, but they have long parallel veins that come out of them, whereas in a dicot, the veins branch. So these are branched veins. The flowers in a monocot have floral parts in multiples of 3. Parts in 3s. And here in a dicot, the floral part is in multiples of 4 or 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, the stems in a monocot have vascular bundles. Which means if you were to look at a cross-section of them, you would see little groups of the vascular tissue, xylem and phloem, whereas in a dicot, the vascular bundles in a ring, or they bundle together in a ring. In rings are. So here's our cross-section, and we see the tissue going around in a circle. And then finally for the roots in the monocot are fibrous. So they're very hairy looking. And in a dicot, they are tap roots. So think about it like a carrot would be an example. It's one, here's our plant, it's one long root. Okay, so these are your notes on angiosperms, and I'll see you in the next one.